This is the story of Jamie Lee Jones. We've covered it before. Al Franken. Jamie Lee Jones was a contractor for KBR, which is a subsidiary of Halliburton. Went to Iraq when she was 19 years old, and she was gang raped by other KBR employees. Then they locked her up in a shipping container and wouldn't let her out. And then the company discouraged her from reporting her rape altogether. To say that they were not helpful is a gigantic understatement. And then when she said, look, I'm going to go to court about this, they said, no, you have to go to arbitration. You signed a contract saying that that this was a regular part of work and that any part of work would wind up in arbitration. And I was amazed and flabbergasted by that. Really, gang rape is a regular part of work at KBR. You know, it shocks the conscience, right? So Al Franken decides, hey, you know what? I'm a new senator. I don't want to do things that are overly controversial. Let me start nice and easy. Why don't I do an amendment, an anti-gang rape amendment? Seems easy, right? And we covered it on the show before, right? And he said it's requiring defense contractors to allow their employees access to U.S. courts so they not get pushed into arbitration where KBR picks the arbitrators, right? So if you've been raped or sexually assaulted in some way, you get to go to a normal court system. Now, Anna, that seems fair, right?
Yeah, of course.
Right. Now, as we know, because we did the story earlier, 30 Republican senators thought, not fair. Okay, no, we're on the side of KBR and the defense contractors, etc. And we believe that, yes, if you got raped at work, sad day for you. I'm sure your company will pick a fair arbitrator for you, and that's the route you'll have to go. I can't believe they went in that direction. So now, apparently I'm not alone because they've come up with a new website, republicansforrape.com. Okay, and I'm sorry, republicansforrape.org. That's right. And they show you all the Republican senators, all 30, that voted for it. And they give you some background. And if you go over their pictures, you get their phone number in case you want to support that ideology and call in on that, right? Which makes sense. Now, there's some chance that they're a little tongue-in-cheek, but there's also some chance that the people who don't know that Stephen Colbert is tongue-in-cheek probably won't know this is tongue-in-cheek. And they'll be like, oh, wait a minute. This is an interesting idea. All right. And they have very serious, parts of the website where they say, hey, look, you're going to discourage private enterprise if you do this. We have to trust the free market system, et cetera, et cetera. Now, unfortunately, it turns out that there are people on the other side, too. And this is very disappointing. The Department of Defense was against the amendment. We just found that out today.
Well, what's the reasoning behind that, though? I don't understand what the reasoning behind that is. This type of thing should be considered political suicide.
It should be. And I don't know if you know this. The Department of Defense is currently Barack Obama's Department of Defense. Now, that's unacceptable. Now, yes, the Secretary of Defense is a holdover from Bush, but it is Obama's responsibility. It's his administration. Now, the White House has come out and said, no, we're in favor of them, men. Okay? But it's your Department of Defense. So here's their note. You asked the question. Let me read it to you. Department of Defense, the prime contractor, and higher-tier subcontractors may not be in a position to know about such things, whether the rape happened or not. Enforcement would be problematic, especially in cases where privity of contract does not exist between parties within the supply chain that supports a contract. It may be more effective to seek a statutory prohibition of all such arrangements in any business transaction entered into within the jurisdiction of the United States if these arrangements are deemed to pose an unacceptable method of recourse. Now, did you understand all that mumbo jumbo? One, it's a pain in the ass to try to figure out, who has arbitration, who doesn't, who goes to courts, etc. But that's bullshit. It's really easy. If somebody claims that they got raped or sexually assaulted, well, then a defense contractor cannot push them into arbitration. Problem solved. It's not that difficult. That's an excuse. And they say, well, if you applied it to the whole country instead of just the Defense Department who has to figure out the defense contractors who are doing this, well, maybe that might be a good law, but that's not the law that was passed. So, and there's no reason why you can't abide by this. If you want to know the real reason, Anna, my guess is that these guys are all buddies.
With KBR?
No, the contractors overall. The guys at the Department of Defense leave and eventually become contractors, right? And then they influence the guys at the Department of Defense, and that circle goes around and around and around, so they protect one another.
So women get raped and we all turn a blind eye.
If you agree with the 30 Republican senators and apparently the Department of Defense, yes, that's what happens, as long as people keep getting paid. Now, Mike Stark has done it again. He's the guy that goes and chases down congressmen and senators sometimes, and he went and chased down a number of senators on this, Republicans. Cochran is from Mississippi, and he said, it's not the government's place to dictate terms of employment contracts. So they said, look, it's a term of employment. Why should the government get involved? It's the same argument that Jeff Sessions made on a speech on the Senate floor. Well, it's your place because you're the one who is hiring that company. So is it your job? Of course it is. You're the government. You're hiring the defense contractor. And can you tell them what they could put in their employment contracts? Abso-frickin-lutely. And Jon Stewart on The Daily Show made a great point about this. So let me get this right. All these Republicans are obsessed with the so-called fraud at Acorn. But if you're doing fraud, as we pointed out on another show, like this defense contractor who got busted last week for $25 million in fraud. But if you're doing fraud as a defense contractor, oh, no. No, then the government can't get involved in your contract, right? And in this case as well. So that's Cochran and Sessions. Sessions also claimed that it was retroactive, and that's why we couldn't do it. Apparently he didn't read the bill. You know how they always say, read the bill, read the bill? No, it applies from 2010 on. So just flat out not true. And then finally, my personal favorite was John Thune, Republican of South Dakota, and he said that he could have supported the amendment if it was narrowed just to cover rape. But as it is, it covers other sexual-related offenses as well. So other sex abuse he's in favor of, just not rape. Anna, is he not merciful?
This is a really depressing and terrible story. You hear stories like this, and how can you differentiate the United States from Middle Eastern countries that, justify this type of behavior?
Well, the distinction you have to make is not the United States, but Republicans within the United States.
Right.
Okay, there were no Democratic senators that went along with this. And by the way, of the Republican senators, no women signed on with the Republican side. They all supported the Franken Amendment, okay? So every single one of those guys was old school, white, male Republican senators. And they just don't get it, right? And Anna, I just keep looking at stuff like this and I think, how can any woman in their right mind think that, it's not a matter of Democrat versus Republican. It's a matter of these guys don't have your best interests.
Right.
They're not going to protect you.
Yes, I agree 100%. And, one of the Republicans that is for rape that's in this website is John McCain. And when I saw him, I automatically thought of his daughter, Megan, right? So how are you going to have a daughter and then be okay with this type of stuff going on?
Think about that. And one of the other guys says, Corker says, oh, no, this bill's been misunderstood, et cetera. He says, I got 2 daughters. So you're okay if they get sexually assaulted in some way by a defense contractor, employees at a defense contractor, where, I'm sorry, you don't have access to the U.S. court system to get yourself justice. How can you be okay with that?
Right.
No, this is not a defensible position. And this is what's wrong with the Republican Party. They've become this fringe. In the old days, would have been political suicide to vote for this, or to vote against the Franken Amendment. But they've lost track of politics. They've lost track of who they're supposed to represent. And it's supposed to be the people and not the companies that keep paying you. And this is, unfortunately, a perfect example of it. They've jumped the tracks. You got to start over if you're the Republican Party.
But I think that if people were aware of what's going on and how these Republicans rejected the Franken Amendment, it would be political suicide. But most people don't know this. This is not common knowledge. This is not something that's covered in the mainstream media.
No, that's a great point, Anna. And the fault there goes partly to the mainstream media for not pressing on it more. But as I said, Daily Show did a segment on it. They're not really quote-unquote mainstream news media, right?
Right.
But people listen to them, so they did a great job of covering it. Maddow on MSNBC has covered it. I'm not sure if Oberman has, but I saw Maddow's segment on it. So you get some people, but and obviously the others haven't because Fox News didn't cover it, so why would CNN cover something Fox News hasn't covered? But the real problem is the Democrats.
Yeah.
Because the political opposition is the people who are supposed to make a big deal out of this, right? And they've just got handed a prize. You could lose every Republican. I'm sorry, every woman voter with this if you're the Republican Party. So Democrats, you might want to pick up on that.